Good morning. Welcome to our service for November 14th of 2021. Service will begin with ringing of Kancho, followed by sutra chanting of Junirai. Then the Dharma School 7th and 8th grade class will lead us in the loving kindness meditation. Then Minister's Assistant Devon Matsumoto will deliver a Dharma message to us, and then we'll close our service. Thank you for joining us today.
Namanda, Vatsanamanda, 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 Namanda, Vatsanamanda, 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 Namanda, Vatsanamanda, Namanda,
May all beings be happy and well.
May no harm or difficulty come to them. May they live in peace and harmony.
May I be happy and well. May no harm or difficulty come to me.
May I live in peace and harmony. May my family be happy and well.
May no harm or difficulty come to them. May they live in peace and harmony.
May my teachers be happy and well. May no harm or difficulty come to them. May they live in peace and harmony.
May my friends be happy and well. May no harm or difficulty come to them. May they live in peace and harmony.
May strangers be happy and well. May no harm or difficulty come to them. May they live in peace and harmony.
May my enemies be happy and well. May no harm or difficulty come to them. May they live in peace and harmony.
May all beings be happy and well. May no harm or difficulty come to them. May they live in peace and harmony.
Please join us in Gasho.
Namo Amitabutsu.
Namo
Namo
Amitabutsu.
Namo Amitabutsu.
Namo Amitabutsu.
Namo Amitabutsu.
Namo Amitabutsu.
Please join me in Gasho. Thus, when one attains the true and real practice and Shinjin, one greatly rejoices in one's heart. This attainment is therefore called the stage of joy. Even more decisively will the ocean of beings of the 10 quarters be grasped and never abandoned when they have taken refuge in this practice and Shinjin. Therefore, the Buddha is called Amida Buddha. Namo Amitabutsu. Namo Amitabutsu. Namo Amitabutsu. Namandaps, 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 namandaps. Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well and is adjusting to the time change from daylight savings. Even though we gained an hour, I still have some difficulty waking up because I like sleeping in. But it does feel good waking up an hour later now. Because of daylight savings, though, I was also late to a virtual meeting that was based in Hawaii, Hawaii Standard Time, because I was unaware that Hawaii does not do daylight saving time, or does not do daylight saving. So my 5:00 p.m. Hawaii time meeting was actually 7:00 p.m. Pacific time, not 8:00 p.m. But, I was still able to make it even though I was late, and I was happy that they were able to bring me up to speed without having to accommodate for my tardiness. I share this story because, I think it's pretty crazy that I was able to be in a meeting with folks from Hawaii without having to take, a 6-hour plane ride there. Instead, I just had to take a 6-second walk to my computer and open my Zoom meeting up. This pandemic has truly forced us to explore new ways of communication and information sharing that may have never been tried out if it weren't for us being forced to stay at home for so long. Because of Zoom and other virtual meeting platforms out there, I've had the privilege and opportunity of being able to sit in and listen to many panels, guest speakers, workshops, and seminars happening around the country from the comfort of my own home, and sometimes in my own bed. In the past, I probably would have had to drive a few hours or hop on a plane to attend these various events. So I'm very grateful for Zoom and the other virtual learning platforms that are out there for me to be able to have access to all of these events. But here's the point where I want to tell you all that my Dharma talk will be covering some sensitive issues today. And if you need to take space for yourself, please step away from the Zoom and return once you feel ready or after it is over. Over the summer, I attended various workshops that gave light to the stories and experiences of Japanese American queer and LGBTQ identifying folks. I also attended a few about Japanese American Buddhist queer folks. I thought that I would focus my Dharma talk on highlighting these workshops and trying my best to understand them from a Shin Buddhist perspective. The panel discussion that I feel resonated the most with, that I feel I resonated the most with, was hosted by JSEI, a Japanese American cultural and community organization in the East Bay. If I remember correctly, last year our temple actually showed our support for their virtual exhibit called Seen and Unseen, which talked about queer Nikkei prior to the incarceration era during World War II. The title of the panel that I went to was called Seeing LGBTQ Nikkei, Lessons from Two Pandemics. The panelists focused on sharing their experiences with the HIV/AIDS epidemic in the 1980s, as well as what was going on with the current COVID-19 pandemic. Many of them shared heartbreaking stories of how they felt unwelcome or unwanted in Japanese American spaces, and even our Jodo Shinshu temples, simply because they identified as LGBTQ. One story that stuck out to me was that of a young Japanese American gay man who was diagnosed with HIV/AIDS during the height of the epidemic. When he was diagnosed, he was not sure where to turn to, as his family was unaware that he was gay. He talked with friends about what he should do and still wasn't sure what he wanted to do. Eventually, though, he became more and more sick, and at this point, he would have to tell his family. He realized that for his family, he would be delivering very shocking news. In one conversation, he would have to let his parents know that he was gay, that he was diagnosed with HIV/AIDS, and that he would probably pass away within the next couple of months. The friend that shared this story during the panel said that this young man carried a heavy burden his whole life. He never knew how his community or his family would treat him if he came out as gay, and it wasn't until he was dying that he felt that he should tell his parents. Growing up, I never really heard stories about queer Japanese Americans. And growing up, I never even knew if Buddhism was accepting of the LGBTQ community. It wasn't until college that I started learning more about the struggles and triumphs of the LGBTQ community, and it wasn't until a few years ago where I started to learn more about the contributions of queer Japanese Americans to the Japanese American and Buddhist community. I think a lot of our young queer kids growing up in our temples now, there may be some feelings of uncertainty around identity or worrying about being welcomed or belonging. Sadly, I think many of us feel that same burden that the man in the story I shared did. So I'd like to share the quote I shared at the beginning with you all again. Thus, when one attains the true and real practice in Shinjin, one greatly rejoices in one's heart. This attainment is therefore called the stage of joy. Even more decisively will the ocean of beings of the 10 quarters be grasped and never abandoned when they have taken refuge in this practice and Shinjin. Therefore, the Buddha is called Amida Buddha. This quote is from Shinran Shonin, the founder of Jodo Shinshu Buddhism. To me, this means that all are welcome just as we are in the Buddhist teachings. When we recite Namo Amida Butsu, the power of Amida Buddha's primal vow grasps us and never abandons us. For Amida Buddha, out of their compassion, they focused on the liberation of suffering for all beings. This is why they established the 48 vows in their life as a bodhisattva. If any being were to be left out of their vow, there's really no meaning in Amida's liberation. To Amida Buddha, all beings have value, and all beings are interconnected. From young and old, cat and dog, gay and straight, Japanese American and black, trans and cis, all beings are equally embraced by Amida Buddha's primal vow. Because of this understanding and similar understandings of Amida Buddha's vow, Jodo Shinshu temples in the US have had a long history of performing same-sex marriages. I recently read an article by Reverend Jeff Wilson, who documented the history of BCA's same-sex marriage activities. The first same-sex marriage in the modern era by a BCA minister can be documented as early as the 1970s. Additionally, in the year 2000, Reverend Mas Kodani of Senshin Buddhist Temple reached out to Nishi Honganji, our headquarters in Japan, Kyoto, Japan, to inquire about him performing a same-sex marriage and he received a reply from the highest doctrinal experts of Jodo Shinshu that he had nothing to worry about so long as they had a legitimate reason to have a Buddhist marriage. All of the ministers interviewed in the article stated that there was no doctrinal basis for denying same-sex marriages or for discriminating against the LGBTQ community. Most of them shared similar Buddhist themes of non-discrimination and equality. Looking back at my childhood now, I think I would have liked to hear this history of our temples advocating for LGBTQ community. There's definitely more in this article that I could share, but I don't want to overload you all with information. But even this small glimpse into our history was very powerful for me in understanding the importance of our LGBTQ community and family. And for my Dharma School students, I hope you all remember the Disney movie Frozen with Anna and Elsa, you know? If you don't remember, I'll give you a short summary. So essentially, there are two sisters, Anna and Elsa. Elsa has a secret magical power where she's able to control the snow. For pretty much the whole movie, Elsa felt like she was not welcome in her own kingdom and by her own sister. She felt that she may be a danger to others around her and that her powers should be hidden from the world. Elsa ran away to live in isolation by herself because she had nobody to turn to talk about what she was going through. Eventually, Anna came back looking for Elsa to bring her home and to help her control her powers. The movie ends with them living happily together in their castle. So hopefully this was a decent summary of the movie. Obviously, I'm missing like Kristoff and Olaf and Sved, the deer, but I think focusing on Anna and Elsa are what's important for this story. So in the movie, Elsa didn't feel comfortable being herself, and at times the people around her didn't feel comfortable around her because of her powers. This is how many young LGBTQ kids feel, and even adults who identify with the LGBTQ community feel. They may feel unwelcomed or that they aren't allowed to be who they truly are. Shinran teaches us that we are all interconnected, that our realization of the Dharma depends on other people realizing the Dharma as well. When we recite the Nembutsu and entrust in the power of Amida's vow, all beings from every direction of the universe are embraced by Amida Buddha's compassion. This is what Shinran meant in the quote that I shared. So please join me in Gassho one more time as I reread the quote. Thus, when one attains the true and real practice in Shinjin, one greatly rejoices in one's heart. This attainment is therefore called the stage of joy. Even more decisively will the ocean of beings of the 10 quarters be grasped and never abandoned when they have taken refuge in this practice and Shinjin. Therefore, the Buddha is called Amida Buddha. All beings are grasped and never abandoned. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namandabs, 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 Namandabs.
Thank you, Devon, for your Dharma message today. The message of being open to all to come as they are and to have the outreach of compassion, timelessly outreaching compassion from Amida Buddha is a great message to ground us in how we should interact as Jodo Shinshu Buddhists with the world around us. Again, thank you all for joining us for our service. As always, please stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.